In my opinion, we need, yes, for an Attitude Era version 2.0, because this PG era sucks. The Attitude Era, do everything, the kitchen sink, everything at you. Sex, violence, cursing, everything. It was attitude. They had to compete with WCW, who was doing pretty much the same thing. All these guys were cutting their own promos. It wasn't a lot of writing for these guys. Everyone had a huge entrance. They come in the ring, they dance like Too Cool and Rikishi. Val Venus coming and taking off his towel. Divas half naked, having pillow fights. Grown men and teenagers tuned in to see this. They were getting 7.0s, 8.0s, 9.0 ratings, 6.0 ratings. Now they're getting 1.0, 2.0, even 3.0 doesn't compare to the Attitude Era. The stupid political campaign that Linda McMahon went on is a big part of what watered down the sports entertainment that we love so much. Grown people, grown men and women, but mostly grown men. We tuned in. We bought t-shirts. It was cool to wear a Stone Cold t-shirt. It was cool to wear a Rock or NWO t-shirt at that time. It's not cool now to wear a John Cena t-shirt. It looks stupid. You look like a nerd wearing a CM Punk t-shirt or a Zack Ryder t-shirt and a headband and glasses. That is so stupid. Wrestling is not cool anymore. It's PG, it's childish, and it needs to come up from out of that. So do we need the Attitude Era to come back? No, because when you say the Attitude Era, you're talking about those superstars. We don't need those guys from the 90s to come back. We don't need the 80s guys to come back. Although wrestling was better back then with those decades. We need new guys, fresh guys that are allowed to say what they want, allowed to have their own characters, allowed to do what they want in that ring, do what they know how to do in that ring, not slow down wrestling. You want Ring of Honor guys to come here and slow down? You're going to destroy wrestling. You want Ring of Honor guys to come here and do what they do in Ring of Honor. That's why you're looking at them. That's why I can't understand what the WWE thinks, what their thought process is when they're seeing these talented guys in these other places, and they bring them over. They bring these young guys and put them in the FCW and train them. Then they bring them to the WWE and squash them like they did with Alex Riley. That's ridiculous. A lot of these guys get pushed back. They get sent back to the factory because they were brought in prematurely. WWE saw the talent in these guys and brought them in and then didn't know what to do with them. What kind of business is that? It doesn't make sense. NXT was a good forum for these new guys from FCW to break ground and show off their characters and show what they can do and cut their own promos. They were getting better. Then once they bring these guys from NXT into the mainstream shows, they have nothing for them. And they put stops on all of them. They write storylines and scripts for them that don't make sense, and it's just stupid. Wrestling in the 80s was way better than wrestling now. Why? Because in the 80s, not everyone was a superstar, but these superstars, the main guys, would not face each other every show. Wrestling only came on Saturdays. We only saw wrestling on Saturdays. We had a whole week to wait. We saw wrestling. The majority of the show were squash matches. There were no-name bums, jabronis, fighting against King Kong Bundy, Big John Studd, Ravishing Rick Rude, Jake the Snake Roberts. You wouldn't see Hulk Hogan on television every Saturday. You would see him, but he wouldn't wrestle every Saturday. You wouldn't see Roddy Piper wrestling every Saturday. Roddy Piper had a contract where he only had to wrestle on pay-per-views, or he'd only wrestle on cable television. He didn't wrestle on TV every day. So when we saw these guys wrestle, it was a special thing. When we tuned into Saturday Night's Main Event, which came on once a month, it was a special thing. The pay-per-views have replaced Saturday Night's Main Event, and that's okay. But if you're going to have a pay-per-view, you don't have these guys face each other all month long in triple threat matches, tag team matches, messes thrown together. And you've already seen the payoff. These guys faced each other in matches. And then you have them one-on-one at the pay-per-view. It's boring now. At that point, it's boring. We don't want to see it anymore. We've seen it enough throughout the month, throughout the last couple of months, these two guys going at it. Back in the day, they wouldn't do that. They'd keep the guys away from each other. They'd come and interfere in each other's matches. They'd probably have one match which starts the feud. Then they'd come in and disrespect the guy, cut promos against the guy, do things to excite the fans for the actual match. But they wouldn't have matches and triple threats and tag teams against each other before the actual big match that it was leading up to. They wouldn't do that. You didn't see Hogan face Andre before WrestleMania 3. That would have been stupid. That would have been dumb. There would have been no payoff there. They did things the right way back then. When it came to the Attitude Era changed because the Attitude Era had competition. The 80s had no competition. The NWA, AWA, Mid-South, those places, they weren't competition. World Class Championship Wrestling, that wasn't competition. Those were places to pull. I know I mentioned the Attitude Era, I'll go back to it. But those territories were places for the WWE to pull talent from. They look and see those guys and pull them over. When those guys came over, they already had the credibility. They didn't need to be built up. They had the credibility from those other places. Now, we didn't get to see a lot of those forums on television. You know, we saw NWA mostly on television. The other guys, you either had to buy a VHS tape, or you had to read magazines, or you had to search cable channels really hard. We didn't have the internet back then either. So, but we would read the wrestling magazines. We knew who these guys were. So once they came, they had the credibility. They've already been seasoned. They were already holding titles in other places. They knew how to be superstars. They knew how to cut promos. They knew how to wrestle and build a story in the ring and make you believe that they could beat these guys that we've been watching wrestle. You know, tag teams coming in and destroying the British Bulldog. You know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but someone like the Road Warriors coming from somewhere else. They're already a huge name. When they got there, the Road Warriors didn't have to lose to anyone. They didn't have to be built up. Their reputation, their credibility was already there. Ric Flair's credibility, his reputation was already there when he got there. Lex Luger, so forth and so forth. Jake the Snake, these guys were already known in other places. Rick Martel. So when these guys got to WWE, they were already stars. Okay? Good example. Dusty Rhodes, huge star in NWA. He comes to WWF. Vince McMahon throws some polka dots on him and tries to actually destroy him. That's what it seemed like. But Dusty Rhodes was such a huge star, he took them stupid polka dots and made them work. He made them work. He was still popular. You know, now he's popular with a huge mainstream audience. You couldn't destroy people who already had that credibility and that reputation. Okay? These guys coming in now are not known. Nobody knows who the hell they are. They come from FCW. Before that, where are they? What, ROH? And then these guys come in, they go through the WWE Factory. Now there's only one factory. There used to be OVW. That's where John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, that's where these big names came from. So OVW was clearly a better training facility than FCW. But for some reason, they closed that down and kept the whack one. So you got guys coming in, you know, only a few of them, like Wade Barrett, you know, Alex Riley, are really good talents, you know, and then they just don't know what to do with them afterward. I don't know, but that's why wrestling in the 80s was good. In the 90s, with the Attitude Era, they had competition. They had WCW. Still another factory to bring guys in from. ECW, another factory to bring guys in from, and they were already huge built-up stars. But in essence, they used that competition to build the stars within that they already had. Everybody had huge entrances. Everything was awesome, and they put on 5-star. Well, maybe not 5-star matches, but they put on great shows every Monday. When SmackDown first came on Thursdays, every Monday, every Thursday, what happened on Monday continued on Thursday, and we loved it. We tuned in. We gave it so many ratings. That's why I can't understand why WWE is doing the crap that they do now. I know I'm all over the place with this. I didn't want it to be structured and read off paper. I want to just say this stuff from my own mind. That's why it's all over the place. But in the 90s, we did get those superstar matches every week, every Monday. When I first saw it, I was like, why are they doing this? But it still worked. It worked. Why did it work? It worked because all the stars were built up. Everybody was credible. And all the superstars were built from within. It was good. They didn't have to bring 80s guys. WCW had to bring 80s guys in, and that worked for them. But WWE didn't have to bring guys from the 80s to build their shows. They built the guys from within. They let those guys, some of those guys, build themselves, like Stone Cold and The Rock, people like that, Triple H. You know, now everything is factory made. Everything is factory made. You have a guy like The Miz, who they give a little leeway to. Guy like CM Punk, they give a little leeway to. But then once they start getting huge, they pull the leash back, and we don't get to see them to their full potential. They're scared to turn John Cena heel or to take him off television after he's fired by the Nexus. They're afraid. They're afraid to do anything that's going to scare the kids and the women away. I'm sorry, children, and I'm sorry, women, but wrestling is a man's sport. Yes, you can join in. That's fine. But this is our sport. When we're watching it, when we enjoy it, the ratings are high. When it becomes your show, the ratings are low. So this show needs to get back to the kind of fans that want to see John Cena heel or off of television, period. All right? We want real wrestlers, real men, not these metrosexual dudes, these little skinny guys flying around the ring and stuff. That's nice, but we don't need to see high spots all the time. We need to see dangerous violence. If you want to throw sex in there, that's fine. It's not really needed in a wrestling show, but that's fine. Throw that in there. Give us a show that we're going to pay for. Children don't pay for pay-per-views. Grown-ass people do, all right? Children don't buy T-shirts and merchandise. Grown-ass people do. When it pertains to the WWF, there used to only be 2 titles that people would go for, the Intercontinental Championship and the World Championship. Now you have 4 titles for the men. You have the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, the World Heavyweight Championship, and the WWE Championship. 2 of those titles need to go. I don't care which ones, 2 of them need to go. Because the prestige of those titles is lessened every time you make another title to go for. It doesn't make sense to have 2 mid-card titles. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense to have 2 World Championship titles. It doesn't make sense. Okay? This is one company. It should be one company, one show, one title to be the top dog, one title to be the mid-card guy. That's it. That would make more guys want to be champion. That would make people want to tune in to see these championship matches. That is the aftermath of WrestleMania 28. At least in my mind, that is the aftermath. What they should do, what they're doing, what they potentially will do. It's looking okay now, but there's a lot that needs to be done in order to keep the show going. We'll see what happens. Anyways, this has been your boy Yankees Fan for Life, aka the Wrestling Kid, Who knows when I'll make another video. I've made some videos and just haven't put them out because I have to edit them and things like that, and really don't have the time. My job is crazy. Now my new days off are Thursday and Saturday. I work from 4 p.m. to 12 midnight. I don't get home sometimes to 2 o'clock in the morning. But anyways, once again, it's your boy Yankees fan for life. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.